Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Just got back from watching the Miami Heat get the kicked out of them against the Boston Celtics. 104-84 was your final score today. You know, Miami, they have not been good at offense this year. They have been a team that is just bad at scoring. Bad. But they hit possibly a new low in this first quarter today. And that is knowing that in this series, they were already down 17-2 at one point. But this first quarter, what they put forth was so bad. And it was also frustrating because it was compounded with the fact that Boston also was missing a lot of shots. So like it felt very much like not only were you blowing it, but that opportunity was there. And Miami was just doing such a bad job of taking care of the basketball today. It was really, really frustrating. And just dumb turnovers, man. Dumb turnovers with like things getting thrown into the stands. They went like, I don't know, Bam got like an and one against Kristaps Porzingis, who had a huge impact on the first part of this game because he was the only damn guy scoring. And then really was deterring Miami from the paint. Nobody wanted to go in there. And it just really mucked things up for Miami. Overpassing became the thing today again, where like, you know, instead of taking the shot that was there, kept trying to get cute, looking for another shot. And then, you know, you were begging for like Haywood Highsmith to like save you on layups today. It was a really, really, it was a bad game from Miami. And I think that the thing that made it really frustrating was you looked at this first quarter and you're like, all right, that wasn't any good, but you know, maybe you'll start getting things together. And, you know, even though you're down 9 at the end of the first quarter, you're like, all right, you'll get it together, go on a little run. And then, you know, what did you think happened? Like bang, bang, bang. It was almost a mirror image, honestly, of like game one, because it was like, you remember game one, they played piss poor, cut it to 5. This time it's at 9. You're at home and you come out of the gate and it's like bang, bang, bang. Tatum 3, Hauser 3, Tatum 3. And it's like, all right, we're right back on to the hamster wheel of now you have to go and get stops, then also find a way to score. And Miami they just couldn't do it today. And then you had these times where like, you know, they had Haywood Highsmith like inbound the ball and he literally just passed it to nobody and Drew Holiday just took it and then it got swung to Pritchard for a 3. And I'm just like, oh, cool. That was great. But then there'd be also times where Miami was just getting just getting out efforted, like Peyton Pritchard going between Tyler and Caleb and getting putbacks for second chance points. And Miami's look, there's no way you can cut around this. Miami, if they're going to win this series, or if they're going to even be competitive in games in this series, you're already at a deficit with offensive talent. You can't also let Boston beat you up on the boards, beat you to loose balls, get second chance points, and then you have to take care of the basketball. Like, you can't sit here in a situation where you're taking on that team and you're giving up 24 points off turnovers. Like, how do you expect to win a game like that? You don't. That's the answer. So, overall, just a disappointing performance from Miami. You know, we could sit here, you know, we could go over field goal percentages of people. Nobody really shot the ball that well. And the Heat really had, I mean, one of the things that was also noticeable in this game, Duncan Robinson got 7 minutes, Kevin Love under 4. And Kevin Love, who has been marvelous. I know he was dealing with an arm thing. He's, you know, got there. But he has been a zero factor in this. And I really thought, and I had said leading into the series that I thought Miami had the best bench player in this series with Kevin Love. He has been a non-factor. And that's been surprising because he, in the regular season, the minutes that he was out there, he's been so effective in taking over games with rebounding and effort and shot making and all that stuff. And you really just haven't seen him. And Spo did not lean on him. And I don't know if it was just a matter of, hey, I know that Kevin Love and Duncan Robinson, for that matter, are banged up. This is a game we got to kind of get into the mud if we're going to make any kind of a run. Their three-point shooting isn't worth the difference in it. Maybe that's what it was. But this was a day where the bench didn't really give you anything. And it was a bummer. You got the news today before. As if the Heat wasn't thin enough. One of the guys who did, while Kevin hasn't been a factor, DeLon Wright has, and he got the news today before the game. DeLon Wright inactive for the game. So that was a huge bummer that you didn't have DeLon, who of course was a menace in game one, and then game two was providing a lot. So they're back to the drawing board. They will practice on Sunday before game 3, game 4, on Monday, which I think is now going to be at 7 because the Lakers avoided the sweep today. So I would imagine that means that the Heat are going to be up a little earlier, and then they'll do the doubleheader that night. But yeah, this one wasn't competitive. Was a competitive day in the NBA, quite frankly. But the Lakers, Denver was like the only one that was kind of a thing towards the end. But every other one, it was blowout city. And now Miami's got to they got to get Monday. But let's hear a little bit of Eric Spoelstra. Was really upset with the lack of physicality from Miami. And Tyler Hero kind of spoke to this about the ball in the air, ball on the floor, loose balls, 50-50 balls, that is going to be a big difference in this series.
Our starts have definitely hurt us. I thought in the first game, game one obviously started with the offensive rebound that set the tone, and then tonight, there was a couple different, times the ball was in the air or on the floor that we didn't at least put the right effort to come up with those. And obviously they crashed the glass a little harder. They sent 4 guys. And when a team like that sees that they we have a weakness of not boxing out, they're going to continue to do that, and that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game. So, definitely getting off to better starts, and I think it starts with those when the ball's in the air and the ball's on the floor, we have to come up with those, because that's a big tone setter throughout this series.
And Tyler had also said that he had felt that the pressure that they would have was having some effect, but also guys are passing up shots. It was interesting though from Bam's perspective. He really put a lot of this on the Heat, and I liked this from Bam because there was no genuflect to the Celtics. It was funny. I don't know if you guys saw. If you guys were at the game, you probably didn't, but I'm sure everybody's seen the clip. But Jimmy Butler got freezing cold taked because he was interviewed by Chris Haynes. He was on the bench, and Chris Haynes speaks to him, says no timeline for his return, but also says, I'm sick of you guys talking about the Celtics. We're going to go up 2-1, which of course they did not. But Bam, was getting upset with his team, and he was getting pretty heated in huddles, and was upset with their effort, and then also said on the turnovers, he goes, I don't feel like they did anything. I felt like, we gave that away. And I think with this stuff, it's
man, I feel like honestly, we just made mistake after mistake on offense, not communicating, throwing the ball away, like just turnovers that shouldn't happen in the playoffs. And we need to check that box. I don't think we really brought that dog tonight like we did in game 2, where it was, set the tone from the jump. And we didn't do that tonight. So, obviously when you don't have that type of dog mentality, you can get blown out by 20. I mean, it's going to be a physical series. This is the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a dogfight. And if you don't bring that dog, this is what happens. In that huddle, it was basically, just addressing, the lack of detail. Letting guys run in on a free throw and get a tip-in layup. Those type of things that can't happen in the playoffs. You can get away with it in a regular season, but, possession by possession matters in the playoffs.
Bam, you mentioned the turnovers earlier, and there was obviously a big gap in turnovers and points off turnovers. How much did the Celtics ball pressure in full court bother you guys, and how important is this battleground in the series for you guys?
No, I just told you we got turnovers because we was careless with the basketball. I don't think it really had anything to do with their pressure. So, to that question, like I said, if you watch the game, we had lackadaisical turnovers. Unforced turnovers for no reason. And I feel like that was the difference.
I do agree with him. I felt like a lot of the errors Miami had were unforced, were silly, and you just kept giving them chances and giving them life, and that's where you're going to get sunk in this series. If you're going to give them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, they're going to eventually take advantage. Miami might not. I mean, we've seen Miami have some dud offensive performances. So to lose the turnover margin, and especially the margin of, you had twice the amount of turnovers, but gave up, but a 20-point difference in the points off of it. Yeah, that was not great. Rebounding today was, it doesn't look as bad on the record, but if I went to the first half, the first half box score, ridiculous for Miami. Like, this was Miami's first half. They got out rebounded 27-15. They got outscored 63-39. Miami was 4 of 14 from 3. Boston doubled them up, 8 of 21. Boston, who had they put up 42 points in the second quarter after that ugly ass first quarter, while Miami just stayed in first gear. Miami shot 36%. Boston 51. Boston also got up 11 more shots. They got up 7 more threes. Yeah, I mean, not competitive at all. And I gotta say, there's one more thing. Nikola Jovic spoke in the locker room after the game, and he had said that he was disappointed for the fans for the performance that Miami put on today.
First playoff game home. I think our fans deserve to see us be better, and we just gotta be better for the next game, and we'll make sure that we do everything we can to win.
It's interesting how the youngest man on the team can have sometimes the most succinct, wisest thing to say. Because I got to say, to the Miami Heat, I am sick of going to that building and them getting beat in playoff games. I think this is 5 straight now, because it's this game, 2 in the NBA Finals, and then 3. Is it 3? No, it's 2 straight. So it was 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals because you lost game 4, game 6. You lost games 3 and 4 to Denver. This is now 5 straight. 5 straight losses in that building. And, the Denver games were tough because they were pretty lifeless. You had just an atrocious performance today. You can't do that, man. Like, you can't. That building can get so electric. I was there for 56 points last year. Been there for finals games. I've been there for Eastern Conference Finals games that have gone well. And it has been an interesting thing. Like, the Heat have had a lot of success in Boston. Boston has not been a very good team. Home court advantage may not mean as much as it used to. But it doesn't mean you got to have dud performances. And it's felt like not only has the Miami Heat had losses, but they've just been duds. And I don't know how after having 2 days off, them coming into your building, them feeling a little bit of doubt, you go and have just the worst first quarter known to man. It was just wholly disappointing. And yeah, Nico's right. The fans do deserve better. They've not been a good home team all year. They've been an inconsistent team all year. They don't have Jimmy Butler. They don't have Terry Rozier. Now they don't have DeLon Wright. So I get it. They're nowhere near whole but my God, man, you go out into Boston and you shake them to their core, and yeah, you can actually do something. You had the opportunity to do something tonight to really be like, oh no, we're here to be a threat. And it just felt like Miami. I'll give Boston their credit. I'll give Boston their flowers, but it also felt like Miami just came out and laid a big wet fart on the court. And to do that with your home fans and by the way, props to Game Ops. I mean, you had the white T-shirts out today. I know people have been dying for Mickey to put those back out there. So they had the white T-shirts. They even threw out the red alert to introduce the Celtics. So like you like it was hilarious. Where like mwah, mwah, So Game Ops did their job. Sick ass intro video for this year's White Hot playoffs. And then you go have that performance. Like, look, whatever this series is going to be, you got, don't go out there on Monday night and not give yourself a fighting chance. Like, give the damn, Nico's right, give the damn fans something to be excited about. And not just be like, it was the same thing in the finals last year, where it's like, you can never get into it. And anytime there was like a mini run, Jamal Murray hit a big three, like, come out there, hit them with the haymaker on your floor for once. Like 5 straight losses in the playoffs. And I'm not counting play-in wins. I'm talking playoffs. All right, not games against the Bulls, against a team that's 4 games under 500. So I don't know. Like I saw, there was their record this year at home has not been good. Their games against the top teams and the West haven't been good. But like, all right, enough of that nonsense. Like, change the narrative. Like, let's go. You can go if you can do it on their floor. You could do it on your floor. And they got a lot of things to get right by Monday. But I just found that, honestly, as disappointing as anything else. Is like, man, I think you had the fans really, really juiced up for this series. Getting this series even back into your building, and you just put the biggest dud of a first quarter together to just have all the air coming out of that building. And, yeah, they got the result they deserved tonight.